All right. So interesting story. I was talking to a driver called in the other day. We were talking to him on the phone, and he literally said to me, he's having a hard time getting a job. Well, obviously, my theory is, all right, if you're a Class A CDL driver, you're having a hard time getting a job, obviously something's wrong.
Right.
Truthfully, if you got a decent record right now, like hiring has really gone up in the last couple months.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started talking. He tells me he's homeless. Okay. Which that tells me you haven't been working much if you're homeless, because, truckers usually make decent money, enough to at least pay for a place to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So he tells me that not only is he homeless, well, let me just start with the homeless thing for a second. When you're homeless, it's like any job. Most places you go to apply for, you need an address.
Right.
But to me, I would just put down what's on my CDL.
And if you're homeless, what can you put as an address on your CDL?
Well, if you already have a CDL, then you have an address on there. You can't get a CDL without an address. So somewhere along the line, he had an address because it's on a CDL. The only ones that don't have addresses on their CDL are non-domiciled drivers. Literally, they don't have addresses on their CDL. But let's not talk about non-domiciled this segment. Let's just stick with this guy. So he goes into telling me that he needs a job. He can't get a job. And, my first impression when he tells me so is, well, that's really the reason why. But I'm like, dude, you really should be able to get a job. He goes, well, there's one other issue that I have. And I said, what is that? And he says, and I thought he was going to say fail the drug screen or, something of that. And he says, I have a dog. I go, you have a dog? Now, let me go back up for another second. I'm recalling this guy even better now. I forgot about actually one or two key details.
Okay.
He said he can only prove like a couple months of driving in the last 5 years, like 3 months. I said, dude, your only option, and he said it was in 22 that he can prove it. So here we are in 26. I said, bro, most trucking companies, they want to see X amount of driving in the last 36 months or 3 years, right? So I said, here's your only option. I said, I got an option for you. I said, you will have to go and apply with one of these trucking companies that can put you with a trainer or even, and maybe help you reestablish yourself since you do have the CDL. And I said, I don't even know if companies will do that or not for sure. I think some will. And that's when he sprung on me, well, I have a dog. I said, okay. So I said, well, that's probably I don't think trucking companies are going to allow you to be a trainee and bring your dog. I said, what kind of dog is it? He goes, a Doberman. I'm like, damn, how are you getting a Doberman? You know what I mean? Can you imagine you have to lift that dog up in and out of that truck every time? And he said, yeah, I nobody would probably take me like that. I said, no, they won't. I said, but dude, you want to know what I used to tell the kids when we were younger? If we were trapped in a hurricane and there was no power for a month and we were out of food, what did I used to tell them for a joke?
We're going to eat the dog.
I said, the dogs, that's
dogs
food.
Go first.
But
dogs
of course,
go
I was
first.
kidding with the kids. But
we don't eat Fido.
But here's the bottom line. I love dogs. You love dogs. We've got Carmel and we've got Greta. Okay, we love our dogs. People love their dogs, but they're animals. And I know there's a bunch of animal lovers going, F you, Troy, from what I'm about to say, right? Mm-hmm. They're family, man. They're like my babies.
Well, and this is...
I know your dog is your baby. But,
she is, but if I had a choice between...
Would you be homeless and almost die for the dog?
No. I would give the dog a better life by giving him a family or at least a home.
Well, his issue, I don't mean to cut you off, but let me just go a little further. His issue is the dog's kind of like a guard dog, he said. So there isn't anybody that could take the dog.
There's Doberman rescues that will take the dog.
That's actually a good idea. I never even thought of that.
And this is for anybody that has an animal that needs to give it up because of whatever circumstance.
Your job.
If it's a purebred especially, there is a rescue for every breed out there.
Yeah, that's true.
So find your closest rescue for that breed. And then if there is
I
none,
wonder if I have his number.
then,
Yeah. So I said to him, I said, well, maybe you can get a part-time. Well, he said, maybe I can get a job and save up to be able to go to save up to be able to put the dog in a boarding place, right? So he wanted to go try to get a Walmart job. This was his way of thinking. And so, I can't hear you.
I'm flabbergasted by why he didn't already take that step to get a job.
Well, again, the dog, right? So how are you going to go work at Walmart if you're homeless and no place for your dog? Especially right now with the heat, you can't just tie him to a tree, in the woods, or could you? I don't know. And I don't want to sound cruel to the animals. Just being honest, if it was me, I'd give the dog up. I would not go homeless for an animal. I'm just not going to do it.
Well, it's awesome.
I'm not going to do it.
It's also not fair to the animal. I love my animal. I'm going to barely be able to feed you. You're going to be having no life just because you want to,
Exactly.
I want you to be here for my buddy.
Yeah, I 100% get it. It's like people that have like an old dog. It's 15. It's got cancer. It's gonna die, right? And it gets hurt, and you go and you spend $3,000 to have it operated on, knowing it's still gonna die here in the next.
And you have to borrow the $3,000 to get it operated on because you really don't have the money to do that.
Yeah, and again, I know if any of you animal lovers are out there thinking I'm being cruel, I'm not.
No,
I'm just saying I would not go if it was me, especially if I have a family, and I don't think he had a family. It was just him and the dog. But still, I am not going to live in the woods because I have nowhere to put my dog because I can't go get a job. This is pretty much what he's been doing for the last 3 years, probably not getting a job because he loves his dog so much. He's willing to live out there in the woods and probably under bridges or wherever he's at, because even shelters aren't going to take a Doberman because he said the dog is very protective. Well, what that tells me is if you were in a shelter, even a homeless shelter, they'd probably kick you out of there because you have a dog that's probably would bite
dangerous
somebody.
dog. Mm-hmm.
What's that?
A dangerous dog.
Yeah, Dobermans. Remember back in the day when they were noted to be the meanest dogs
I got
around?
bit by 2 dogs ever in my life.
Doberman?
2. The one was my brother's ex-fiance.
What was it?
It was Adobe. Sweetest dog in the world, but
yeah, right. It bit you.
Fritz and Mitzi. Fritz was the Dobie.
That sounds like a Doberman name.
They had
Fritz.
And she was a vet. She was a vet.
When coming on.
Right. So they had their toys, but they were so jealous of each other to where if I threw the toy for Mitzi, I had to throw Fritz also. Like I had to, or Fritz thought you weren't playing with him. And I threw them, but I didn't throw them fast enough. And Fritz got my finger. He only nicked me, considering and I was only, 12? So he could have really did damage to my hand. He only nicked me.
Fritz did?
Yeah. And she felt so bad that I got bit by this dog. And like I said, she was a vet. Actually, it maybe have been a vet assistant at that point. But, she felt really bad. I still loved the dog. I wasn't mad at him. I understood it. The other dog was another Dobie, but it was a miniature Doberman.
A min pin.
Yes.
They're nasty little dogs, and they're hard to train.
It was your sister's. Blackie.
Oh, that dog was nasty.
He was mean, and it used to hide underneath.
Did he get you? I don't remember.
Yeah, you wanted to beat him. Because he got me right in the right.
That's it. Now they're going to write in. I wanted to beat a dog.
Right in this. Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. We had babies. Like literally, Hunter was like 2. And all you could see is the face getting ripped off of this dog because it was a mean dog. She finally got rid of it because it kept biting people.
Okay, so let's stay on track.
Our dog story.
Okay, I could tell you the story that I got bit by a dog also, and it was Adobe. Believe it or not, my Aunt Jackie's dog, it bit me in the butt. But anyways, that dog hated me. Anyways, I'm not going to rattle on. So my advice to anybody, you got to set your priorities, honestly, truly. You really do. I'm sorry. if you love your dog that much, like Ruth Ann said, you really would be doing the dog a service if you at least called a Doberman rescue. You know what I ended up talking to another lady trucker that day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what she said to me? She said, well, have him apply at boarding places, at dog centers. She said a lot of time they'll allow you to bring your dog to work because it's, as part of pay. And I thought that was a good idea too. And so is your idea, call a rescue service and see if they could do a temporary rescue while you go get on a truck with a trainer for a couple weeks and get reestablished. And then because most trucking companies have a pet policy, then when you're all reestablished, go ahead and get your dog. But by no means should a person ever literally say, for my pet, I'm going to go ahead and be destitute, poor, live in the woods, underneath bridges, all because of my dog. I'm sorry. And if you want to write in and say that I'm a cruel son of a gun, go ahead. But I'm just telling you, I wouldn't do it for my dog. I just wouldn't do it.
Well, here's the thing. You want to sit there and say that you are an animal lover, right? And, I don't want to give my animal up. Okay, are you a person that makes sure that your animal goes to the vet? Well, if you're a person that makes your animal go to the vet, you got heartworms, you have fleas, you have ticks, you have all these things that causes your animal to die sooner if you don't take care of it. So being homeless and not taking care of your animal because you can't afford it is just as bad. So
the mind of Ruth Ann. There it is. All right, shall we move on?
Moving on.
I'm sorry that we rattled on about the dog thing, but it just perturbs me when somebody doesn't have their priorities straight. I'm sorry about that, and it is what it is. All right, moving on. Let's take a quick break, and we'll just real quick talk about our sponsors since we're doing a live a video podcast this time. Truck Parking Club. In a pinch, when you need parking. I know some people say, I don't want to pay for parking. Well, listen, the download is free, and you could find yourself in a city or a town. There's many places, Nashville, Houston, New Jersey, all these places where you can't find truck parking. And I know you don't want to pay, but guess what? Literally, the competition's really big time right now, where like there was a driver not long ago up in the Gary, Indiana area. He's like, man, I can't find any parking. I said, have you ever heard of Truck Parking Club? He said, no. I said, here, let me pull him up. And there was like 10 different parking lots where he could literally pay monthly. It was like dirt cheap.
Right.
And he couldn't find a parking space. And he was like, you know what? He said, thank you. Just like that.
You shouldn't let that hold you up from getting a good job.
Anyways, Truck Parking Club, if you never use them, at least download the app. And if you own land and want to rent out and help truckers, also download the app, get a hold of Truck Parking Club. They're great people and they're very caring. Moving on. Next sponsor would be
Hey Bubba.
Hey Bubba.
Hey Bubba.
Right. Hey Bubba's a AI dispatcher that you literally talk to. He's on your phone. You say, hey Bubba. He comes on. And again, Bubba, I need a load from Tampa to Philadelphia. People are going, I ain't going to Philly. But anyways, Bubba literally can find, if there's available loads, 3-4 loads, here's what it is, here's what it pays, here's the pickup time. And if you say, well, I need more money, Bubba literally will dial the broker, the actual AI dispatcher, will dial the broker and literally haggle and try to bump up the rate for you. And then you can even say, well, I need a load from Tampa to Philly. And I also need, when I get there, a load that's going to Dallas. So yeah. And he can literally pre-book you for the week. And that's how good Bubba is.
That's it's really great to be able to know what you're doing next.
And also if you own a fleet or 500 trucks or 1,000 trucks, Bubba, they have a trucking company
they can accommodate.
With Hey Bubba that's literally dispatching 1,000 trucks. That's crazy. So check out Hey Bubba. The first 90 days is free. So if you literally don't like it, this is how sure they are. They're giving you 3 months free, not a week or 24 hours or some of these stupid apps.
Not your money back.
Exactly.
Guarantee.
Some of these apps, they bait you in for like such a small time. Hey, Bubba's saying, you got 3 months to say I like it or I don't like it. And I don't think there's many people that after 3 months are going, no, I'm keeping this because I make a lot of money. And just imagine the time you save with Hey Bubba. Literally, hands-free, hey, Bubba, I need a load. Boom, he's on you. Check it out today at heybubba.ai. That's it. Moving on, Ruth Ann. Gosh, my co-host. You guys heard her, right? You heard her, the mind of Ruth Ann.
It's a beautiful mind.
It's a beautiful mind. All right, here we go.
It's just a little squirrely.
interesting. I mean, there's so much going on this week. I'm going to go. I went and Googled. Actually, I went and checked out ChatGPT on the driverless trucks. And I asked, how much time do drivers have left? And interesting.
Really?
Well, that's what I asked him. Like, when's the big takeover, right?
Yeah.
But interesting, honest answer, because I reprogram. You can program ChatGPT, by the way, to be brutally honest. I got sick of him kissing my butt and always agreeing.
I told you he was a kisser.
Right. He was a butt kisser. Now he's kind of brutal to me, but it's cool because he doesn't let me get away with anything. And I said, just be honest. What's the future for truckers? And you know what he said? Because every one of us can't stand driverless trucks. And I can't stand trucking companies that are bringing it in. I'm going to tell you something. There's 2 big trucking companies right now utilizing driverless trucks. And I'm just saying, if it was me, I wouldn't work for them. I wouldn't. I don't care.
I wouldn't.
You can sue me all you want for saying it. I wouldn't work for you guys. I am not going to look. You know what I looked up? Let me say this. Let me start off. I looked up.
He's getting fired up.
I am fired up because you know what I looked up? I'm like, who else has done this? And I thought, McDonald's and those stupid kiosks. So I Googled, since 2015, does McDonald's have less employees? They've got like just under 2 million workers worldwide. Mm-hmm. But you know what Google said? It was like, they are literally have cut 300,000 jobs.
See, and they wonder why all these people are.
You know what was one of the reasons why the 300,000 jobs were cut? The kiosks, the automated thing.
Yeah, they don't need it.
At first, they're like, well, when the kiosk works, it can give everybody else more time to help serve. No, they literally cut 300,000 jobs. It was down from something 1,450,000 down to 100 or 150. Literally, that's how many jobs were cut over in a 10-year period. And so I asked, what's going on with these driverless trucks? And he said this. He said, it's really going to hurt the southern truckers the most.
The southern ones?
Yes, because they cannot figure out snow-covered roads, mountain roads. Believe it or not, construction, which that leaves Florida out.
We're pretty much we're under construction a lot.
Florida, but. It said it has a hard time figuring that out. So I guess it kind of has to keep running their routes, whatever the case is. But it literally said that, and again, I hope it fails. I am cheering for autonomous trucks to fall on their face. You know what one driver wrote in and he goes, hey, I can't wait to play cut off the autonomous truck and watch them go into the woods. But it's funny that drivers are already coming up with. I mean, I know he was kidding. Did you have something? Because I was going to say a lot.
I was going to say the only thing that I personally have where I do it on my own versus not is I really like self-checkout. So if that's the only thing that I would consider, quote, autonomously kind of thingy, to where I don't like the fact that it took away from workers, but I do like my self-checkout.
Well, you look at our area. What's the only place with self-checkout? Target and Walmart. Every other grocery store now did away with most of that. When you walk into a lot of it.
Yeah, there's
some of the new Publix have that.
Yeah, not all of them.
Self-checkout, but it's only like 4 or something like that. Most of them really are relying on humans because of, if you want the truth,
thieves.
People literally stealing.
Thieves.
Yeah. I'll tell you the best self-checkout I know is Sam's. That one there is, I got to admit, it's pretty cool. You pay on your phone.
You do everything on your phone.
As you're walking through, you just literally take your cart and walk out, and the big thing goes, yep, he's good.
Yep.
It's one time I think they stopped us because...
I miscounted.
Yeah, you got to be careful, then you look like a shoplifter.
Yep, I did.
So anyway, going back to this.
Okay, the autonomous trucks.
Okay, so I asked, and it literally said, you southern truckers, you guys are going to be the ones hurting first. You guys, literally, the ones that like to stay south of I-40... The only way you're going to be, and I'm going to say 5 years, maybe 5 years, something like that. If they don't have a bunch of wrecks, and I don't want to see people's family get killed by autonomous trucks, but at the same time, I don't want to see the trucking industry go down the crapper because of these scumbags that are improvising with autonomous trucks. And I'll give you an example. Hirschbach, or not Hirschbach, they're one of them, but McLean, right? I did a video the other day, and McLean truck was going down the road. So I did a video and I did a rolling thing. It said, you know, do people that drive for McLean have a future? I just asked it, right? And a couple of their guys, right, clicked on the video, and they said, well, we were told that it's only going to be used for shuttling from terminal to warehouse, you know, like a yard jockey type of situation. And like half the drivers are like, yeah, right. Just, you think that. I'm going to tell you something. Just like McDonald's, you remember when they started introducing the kiosks? Who was training the kiosks to take their job? The poor McDonald's workers were coming out and training everybody to take their job. And that's exactly what happened. And the same with truck drivers that drive for any company that is literally promised to buy 500, 1,000 trucks. I think Hirschbach, one of them just literally signed a contract to buy 400 or 500 driverless trucks. I can assure you guys, truck drivers, the companies that are introducing this are the ones that are pushing forward to literally shoving your jobs up your butts. I'm going to tell you that right now.
How many trucks does Hirschbach have now?
A few thousand. Remember, they just bought John Krishner. Yeah. They literally have. They're pretty big. They're you know, back in the day when they only had a few hundred. I remember that, right? You know, and same with McLean. They're huge. They're huge. They're in the restaurant business. And what a lot of people don't realize is these trucking companies, and I'm not telling you, okay, to quit your jobs or anything like that. I'm just saying, me personally, if I was driving for a trucking company and all of a sudden I see that they have the big orders, I'm out of there. I am not going to be part of promoting my own job to be taken away and my brother truckers to be screwed. You guys want to introduce this crap? You do it with somebody else. I'm not going to be the guy driving truck to hold you up until you can replace me and half of your fleet with your robot trucks.
In the meantime, you're getting a lot of money off me working.
F that. And all the drivers that literally think you're not going to see the BS come down. If these autonomous trucks work out to where they don't kill a bunch of people, I promise you it's going to be a major impact. Just listen to this. Look at the non-domicile truck drivers. Look at the impact on the migrant truckers that the Biden administration shoved all in those 4 years, open borders, coming in, thousands and thousands and thousands of people being shoved into the United States, and they started getting non-domicile CDLs. And listen, I am not prejudiced or racist to where I hate people from other countries. That's not the case. All I'm saying is look at the impact it had on the American truck driver. Mm-hmm. Now they're literally taking a lot of those guys out. They're pulling those guys over and taking their CDL, a lot of these guys, if they can't read and write English. Mm-hmm. Well, guys, do you realize when, let's say 5,000, 10, look, there's 2 million truckers, but look at the impact on, 250,000 migrant truckers in the country that they're getting rid of slowly. All it takes is replace them with the autonomous trucks, and you're going right back to the BS that you had.
Right.
I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't make sense. So all I'm saying, you guys do what you want, but if I was back on the road, there's no way I don't care if you double pay me. I am not going to support a trucking company that's contracting with these autonomous makers, okay, and I don't want to be like 10 years from now, 20 years from now going, yeah, I worked for this company and they told me that it wasn't going to affect me. This was for the good. The rich man don't give a crying, flapping rat's butt about you or me. What do you think? What's his name made that song? Rich Men North of Richmond. That's right. Rich men north of Richmond. The rich man doesn't give one iota, one care about you guys. And if you want to support it, you support it. Okay. And you guys I know some moron will write into me. I know that. I know I'm going to get a couple letters from some jackass that thinks he knows the industry, and he's going to tell me, oh, this is going to be for the better, and this is impossible. One guy was on the page going, oh, how does it unload itself? You guys ever hear of a walking floor? Trucks can literally, and they're not replacing the forklift guy yet, but they will. They can.
Well, they could have robots doing that.
Absolutely.
They have a robot that can put a car together. They can have a robot to unload a tractor.
I couldn't believe somebody
trailer,
said
sorry.
that. Dude, can they unload themselves? Yeah. Listen, UPS in Texas right now has autonomous trucks running their entire yard. I was watching video on this. These are like robot trucks backing them in the yard. There's no more. Yard jockeys already gone in that terminal. Gone. No yard jockeys. Already took their job.
Okay, so this driver just said to you, they still have to have someone unload the truck. What's one of the first things that a driver asks you?
Do you have to touch freight?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So exactly what does that have anything to do with it?
I was thinking that too. I'm like, what trucker unloads these days?
They don't do it.
The only truck drivers that really unload are LTL guys. They might have to, jack a skid up. I used to do it. You know that.
And they get paid to do it too.
And you get paid a lot of money to be an LTL driver, and you stay in better shape. But that's here and there. But the bottom line is, there isn't many truck drivers that have to. Ever since COVID, truck drivers don't even go on the dock and unload trucks. Mm-mm. They may have to count, and a lot of them don't even do that anymore. Everything is scanned, okay, and sealed and done separately like that. So I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't start thinking to myself, "Whoa, what's it gonna do?" One guy wrote, "What's it gonna do with a flatbed?" Trust me, they're gonna make them. Don't sit there laughing your ass off thinking that this isn't happening. It is happening. And I'm not trying to scare people. What I am telling people is I hope these autonomous companies fail. I hope they fall flat on their face. I hope it's the biggest stupid investment the government's ever made. I really do. I hope it is. I pray it is. But I'm telling you, I wouldn't support it. If I was a truck driver, no way. I'm not doing it.
I don't support it mainly because of the fact there's nothing better than a human conscience when it comes to working the trailer and the tractor. I'm sorry. But one thing that I heard when it came to the autonomous is that they were saying that they're going to use the autonomous mainly for the quote city driving, and that they're going to use regular truck drivers for the longer runs. But
no, it's the opposite. Right now, it's because it's. They make fun of steering wheel holders. They just hold the wheel going down the interstate. That's what an over-the-road truck driver becomes these days. He doesn't even shift gears anymore. And you know what? So what? Big deal. Greyhound driver, that's what they are. But the bottom line is a guy's out there enduring life on the road. Now that's what the autonomous industry is trying to take away to start is going to be the long haulers, those guys that do the long runs, because it's a lot easier. You get on I-10, especially West Texas and all the way to the California border. It's just pretty much desert the whole way, and that's what they're trying to, implement right now. And then the city guys right now are still running. Right now you have your city guys, your mountain guys, your snow guys. They're going to be last to be replaced. But make no mistake about it, the better this AI gets, the better it's going to learn to adapt to those mountain driving, to that snow driving. Good.
Sorry, scroll again. So
she loves her own jokes.
What's one thing that we have right now going on in Florida?
Into the mic.
Sorry, my nose was itching at the same.
I always yell at Ruth Ann for not talking into the mic, because what happens is when you're in editing, it's a disastrous nightmare.
What's one thing that we have going on right now in Florida that's super annoying to you, especially?
In Florida?
Yeah, right now. What's going on right now? In fact, yesterday you went and took the whole front end of my car and took care of it again.
Oh, the love bugs?
So they're saying that the South, that it's going to impact the South because of the fact that,
well, because that's where the weather's better. Yeah.
Right. But what are they going to do with the bugs? Because we get some massive bugs.
I don't think that's going to mess autonomous trucks.
You don't think it's going to hit the camera and the next thing you know, a swarm of those
Well, I mean, yeah, I
bugs
guess
could be in the way of the camera, and the autonomous vehicle is going all over the place trying to, because you can't see.
Yeah, no, that might be a good point. Yeah,
I mean, I'm just saying, there's bugs.
Because let me tell you guys something about love bugs. And you truckers that have come here, you understand it. They don't come off easy. No. It's not like you just take a rag and wipe them off.
Or your windshield.
You have to get special pads to scrub them off and not scratch your paint up.
It's horrible.
So anyways, you guys have my take. I'm just telling you, if it was me, I'm just not supporting it. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I don't care. I would never drive for any of those companies that are literally being at the... See, those companies are going to brag someday. We were at the forefront, baby, of autonomous trucks. We were at the forefront. That's us, man. We did it. F that. You can do it to somebody else.
Yeah, we're the ones that took away the trucking jobs.
Yeah, I'm not... Literally, I'm telling you, man, I get so fired up over that crap.
I noticed.
Oh, my gosh.
So, real quick, I opened up my little news thingy.
Well, are we moving on?
Yes, we're moving on.
Okay, let's...
Well, you already got the autonomous
let's move on. I want to move on, but like the way you were...
Sorry.
I didn't know if you had something part of it. Okay, moving on.
We're moving on.
All right.
So...
Get me a Quaalude. Do they even make Quaaludes anymore?
I don't know. Uh-huh. You'd be like...
Allude.
You'd be like morning, afternoon, evening.
The young people are going, what's a Quaalude?
Yeah. So I pull my news thingy out. So with Apple News, I'll pull up and just hit like...
What do you got?
Motorcycle driver dies in hospital days after crash with a semi-truck. Duh.
What do you mean, duh?
I mean, a semi-truck versus a motorcycle. That's not going to end well, period.
Oh, no.
So that was just... I didn't even read the article. I don't want to read the article for a reason, I'm not one that likes all the crashes.
You know what's funny?
But I'm like... Of all things.
And again, we try to stay on trucking or, things of traffic, but we were reading the other day statistics. Mm-hmm. Just in Florida alone, how many people do you think die on average each year in Florida on a motorcycle? Just in a year's period.
105,000.
What are you, nuts?
I don't know. I just threw it out.
105,000. Are you crazy? They'd ban motorcycles. It was that bad. No, between 600 and 700 deaths in a year on a motorcycle. 100,000. Are you nuts? Can you imagine if be like just bodies piled up? No, like literally in the United States alone, there's 40 to 50,000 motorist deaths from cars, trucks, everything in 1 year. That's the average in the entire United States. But just Florida alone, the average of like 2 people a day die. And it's because people come here to ride motorcycles. Us in Texas,
and we don't have a helmet law.
Yeah, we lead the way in motorcycle deaths. So, and no helmet law, blah blah blah. And then when you hit a semi truck, you're pretty much guaranteed to die.
Well, yeah, definitely.
There's no give and take.
Kansas City, but here's the thing: we have no helmet law. You can come down here and ride for the whole day and just get sunburned if
365 days a year. The temperature is good to ride a motorcycle here.
Pretty much, you can.
But what's
barring a hurricane, Yeah.
But what's the worst thing? If you're a motorcycle rider, take heed to the one thing that we have that will kill you in a second.
Silverheads.
That's right. Snowbirds, blueheads. I'm telling you, we call them Q-tips. It's people that are 80 and above, right?
It's not even more. They could be lower now.
And they dye their hair, accidentally go from white to like a light blue, right? And it may be a kind of a Southern joke, but
they're deadly.
Ruth Ann and I sold our motorcycle because, and actually it wasn't a snowbird. It was a young couple. If you remember, they put.
I don't know. It was like 2 or 3 times.
So we were like, okay, we're out of here. People don't respect bikes. And in Florida, when you're at a red light, if you don't count to 3 when that light turns green, I promise you, you're taking your own life into your own hands because people keep running. When the light turns red here, I promise you, if you just wait, you're going to see people just going right through the light. I don't care where you're at in Florida. It's crazy. If you're a semi driver and you come down here to Florida for the first time, count to 3 before you go to pull out. I promise you.
It is pretty crazy.
Moving on.
Let's
move on.
Moving on.
Interesting article I found. It's kind of funny. Listen to this. Missouri man accused of stealing $250,000 by issuing fake invoices for unloading semi-trailers. How can you make $250,000 in fake lumber fees?
I have no idea.
Literally, that's what it
Must
says.
be that guy that told you.
It's not the homeless guy, but he's from Missouri, too.
No, I'm talking about the one that responded and said they still have to unload their truck.
Yeah, there you
It's
go.
the one doing the fake invoices.
Who's going to unload it? Missouri guy. No, all right, so check it out. A Missouri man was arrested this week for allegedly defrauding a grocery store chain through a fake invoice scheme. You would think whoever the bean counter is at your organization, you would start noticing are you that rich that you don't notice $250,000? On May 20th, 26th, Richard Lind, 39, was arrested on 5 counts of wire fraud. Lind appeared in court and pleaded, of course, not guilty to all charges. Authorities say that Lynn was employed as a site manager. Okay, so he was in charge for a logistics company at a grocery store distribution center. The logistics company supplied the physical labor and heavy equipment to unload trailers containing grocery inventory as well as software for tracking shipments. He said, this is where greed takes over. You probably would have got away with it $100,000 ago. Right? But you just couldn't stop. What? You know why they don't stop?
Because they got away with it.
Exactly. That's what they say to themselves. Well, I could get that Porsche if I just do one more bank job. I wasn't caught. I could do it. I did it. Therefore, I can do it. They ain't gonna catch me.
I'm too cool now. I've mastered it. They can't catch me now because I've mastered it.
So it says, Lynn is accused of creating false records for inventory shipments that had never occurred and false invoices seeking payment from the trucking companies for unloading those shipments. So he's basically saying, here's an invoice for a load I unloaded on you. And
wink, wink.
And somewhere along the line, people that literally have zero tracking were stupid and just paid it. After receiving the fake invoices, the trucking companies would seek reimbursement from the grocery chain. So now the trucking companies would pay the lumber service, and then they would go back to the grocery chain and go, okay, now you need to pay us for the lumber fee. Mm-hmm. And that's probably where the dummy people were going, listen, man, they didn't do that unload. Mm-hmm. Somewhere along the line. Officials say Lynn concealed the scheme from the logistics company by voiding the records. So he would just cancel all records of it. Lynn then used the electronic payment authorization codes that resulted from the scheme to obtain cash payments at truck stops, triggering more than 600 fraudulent payments. Boy, that guy was on a roll. He started out with 1 and went, I didn't get caught. 2, 3, 600 fraudulent invoices later, he's still going. A total of $250,000. The U.S. Hey, when you get that big, the U.S. attorney's involved now.
Yeah, they're looking for. Well, it changes classification.
Lynn's going up the river. You know that, right? Mm-hmm. Anyways, I thought I would bring that to light. There's one other thing that I wanted to read that I thought was totally interesting, and I'm going to pull it up here. Check this out. Oh, that's the wrong one. Can you imagine reading that again? Then everything they say about me would be true.
That you're a squirrel?
No, actually, I wanted to read this article. Listen to this. Moving on.
Moving on.
This will be the last. Okay. So a $49 million verdict was reached in a lawsuit. A man was killed by a trucker. Mm-hmm. Right? Texas Trucking Company, they're called OPG, and the driver accused of violating hours of service before a fatal crash. So this driver is what I wanted to really talk to you about for a second. And I was talking to a driver the other day. I said, you can look up online. There's trials and future trials that are going to happen that we don't even know about, where drivers fell asleep, or they were texting, or they were DUI, or they just belligerently failed to follow the hours of service, or the trucking company reset their logs.
Is this the one that happened just?
I didn't know this one. This was a new one. Yeah. But there's so many of them. And really what I'm getting at is these are truckers that have never been in trouble. Some of these truckers that are about to do 30, 40, 50 years in prison are literally have never committed a crime before. But because they didn't really think this was a big deal, it's not really a big deal. What does it matter? I'm going over my hours. Well, guess what? When you kill a family, you're going to prison. You're going to pay for it.
It's a big deal.
If they prove negligence on your part, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Here's what it says. It says this week a Texas jury awarded tens of millions of dollars. This is $49 million. That's a lot. Tens of millions of dollars to a family of a man that was killed in a crash with a semi-truck in January. You got to hear this. This was last January, so a year and a half ago. Following a 3-day trial in Ector County, Texas, a jury awarded $49 million to a family of Stephen Robert Mick. He was 29. According to the law firm. It says Mick was killed in a crash in Midland, Texas in January of 25. The jury found that, I don't even know how, Bjorkis Sanchez Fernandez, driving a truck for Texas-based carrier OPG LLC, caused the fatal crash when, are you ready? When she failed to yield and made an unsafe left turn. The trucker was a female. Now listen to this. It says Sanchez, after 6:30 p.m., Sanchez was operating a Peterbilt, truck westbound on FM 307 as Mick was driving a Chevy Suburban eastbound on 307. One's going one way and one's going the other way. Sanchez reportedly attempted a left turn across the lane. So Sanchez just cut right in front of this guy. This is what they proved, right? Across the lane, near the I-20 North Service Road, and struck the driver's side of the Suburban. Now listen, this isn't really where the trouble probably came from even more, because if it was an accident, you cut in front of somebody, it was just an accident, odds are you're not going to prison. But here's where it happens. Mick died at the scene. He left behind a wife and 2 children. It says the Amos law firm alleged violations of safety regulations. They were uncovered in the investigation. What safety regulations? The evidence also showed that Sanchez had been driving for more than 12 hours and on duty more than 15 hours following her last 8 consecutive hours off duty. So they already proved that she was violating hours of service. And I don't know if the trucking company set the logs, but it's going to say the trucking company was able to see that, because you can any app, ELD, you can look and see if your driver's breaking the law. So exceeding applicable hours of service limits, plaintiff alleged that Sanchez falsified her records of duty status, including the day before the fatal crash, and that OPG Logistics had access to electronic logging data and alerts that could have revealed hours of service violations before anyone was hurt. That's not where it stops. Listen to this. It says plaintiffs further allege that OPG Logistics operated its fleet without basic safety infrastructure. Now, that is important. If you don't have a safety department and your drivers get into an accident because you don't have company safety rules written and shown to these guys. This is why trucking companies show these safety films, Ruth Ann, before these guys come in, or they bring them in and make them watch it there. This is exactly why this company is getting sued. I wonder if they'll even be able to keep operating. $49 million.
I can't see how they could keep operating. They weren't even.
Can you look them up and see how big they were? Look up OPG Logistics DOT number and look at their safer and see if you can see how many trucks they have. Because if they're small, there's no way they can take a $49 million hit. It says, according to the pleadings at trial evidence, OPG Logistics sent Sanchez and other drivers onto public roads under its U.S. DOT number without a driver training manual, a safety manual, written safety driving policies and procedures, instructional videos, third-party safety training, group safety meetings, or periodic driver performance reviews. That's for all you small companies out there that are listening right now, take heed to what I just read. This is a trucking company that got just as convicted, on the basis that Their driver went over on the hours. They could have looked at the ELD and known that these drivers went over, and then also on top of that, had no safety procedure in place at all. If you're a trucking company, if you're Mr. Small-time company, you have 10 trucks, and you don't have a guy called your safety director, you are really risking your entire business, because if one of your drivers is found negligent for any safety violation, one of the things they're going to hammer in court when you're standing in court and your driver's standing in court and the victim's across from you and the lawyers got their checkbook out, or they got you bringing your checkbook rather to write a check out, that one of the things they're going to hammer right to the jury is this company, Mom, Pa Kettle, did not have a safety department to make sure these drivers knew. And yeah, and some of you guys are thinking, well, drivers should already know. And yes, I agree with you, they should. But you look and see, this is really an example of how you can lose your butt, okay? Your B-U-T-T, your butt. Why? Because this company took a jury that has nothing probably to do with trucking and got the bleeding hearts in there and said, look, they didn't even have a safety procedure. They didn't even train their drivers right. And the jury probably went, oh my gosh, these companies are making millions of dollars and they literally have no regard for the public. They should the least they should do is put a safety procedure in place. I'm telling you, you companies out there, cover your ass. It's bad enough that autonomous trucking is coming for your job. Stop risking your damn company. Put somebody's title on there and start making them watch safety films. You can look these safety films up online and make these truck drivers. I'm telling you, I know trucking companies right now. You know how they hire? You know how they send in your CDL and we'll run it through our insurance company. If you pass, you got a job. Chicago is filled, Rutan, is filled with these trucking companies, okay, that literally say, just give me your CDL and I will go ahead and check with my insurance company. My insurance company approves you, I'll have you driving within a day. That's literally, or they'll drug screen them rather, and then they'll literally go ahead and take that driver and do what? Stick his butt literally in a truck without ever going over anything. And they don't even literally check these guys out. I'm telling you, it's coming down to hiring right now, Ruthann. And that's why a lot of truck drivers can't get jobs, because these trucking companies, the really big trucking companies, they have procedures in place right now. They're afraid to hire truck drivers because of all these lawsuits. $49 million, that's a lot. But you know what? Guess what? It don't matter what money you get. As the victim, your loved one can't be brought back with that $49 million.
That's absolutely 100% correct.
And if you killed my loved one, I would want more than $49 million. I mean it. And you want to know something? You trucking companies that are getting sued right now, I guarantee you, if another trucking company killed your loved one, guess what? You'd be in court demanding $49 million yourself. So guess what? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Guys, gals, put a safety procedure in place and stop risking your company over procedures. Learn from these lawsuits because, man, they are piling up. Ruthann, that's the podcast for the week. You know what? You didn't find it. It's not a big deal.
I actually was having a hard time finding it. But
yeah, it's probably because they're under something else. Here, let me look real quick. Let me see here. OPG Logistics.
Everything that I'm pulling up, it's saying inactive.
Well, you know what? They might have went out of business already for all we know.
Yeah, I'm not being able to pull up anything.
OPG Logistics, DOT. Let me see here. Lead Connect. Let me see if I got it right here. Carrier OPG, Odessa, Texas. 5 years, 3 months, 19 days, 15 drivers.
Yeah, but look 15. When that was. Look when it says what year.
Well, that was mileage 2024. Yeah, let me see if it says active or not. I don't see it here.
Yeah, I took that
inactive.
Yeah,
inactive. So you know what? I don't know if OPG's even in business anymore. You have 15 trucks. How are they even going to pay the $49 million? Does their insurance company have that kind of money to pay out?
I don't know.
You're insured for X amount of dollars, but are you insured for $49 million? My guess is now again, if you're a driver out there and you know if OPG Logistics is here, OPG Logistics Safer.
Watch, there's one
not authorized.
Yeah, because there was one in Nebraska that I had seen.
Oh no, this one's in Nebraska. So this is a different one. Yeah. Yeah, so I would be curious if anybody knows.
Well, I pulled up
Odessa, Texas.
I did the DOT up on Safer, and it's not coming up with any search.
Okay. Yeah, so, and for some reason, my page just literally went blank when I was on here. That's crazy. But guys, write in if you know. Here's a DOT number. Write in if you know whether this company's in business or they're not in business.
If you're in the Odessa area and you happen to say, hey, yeah, I know where that terminal's at. I've seen them.
Well, I could tell you right now, truly, it's not coming up on Safer, but my guess is, again, I don't know. If they only had 15 trucks, there's no way you can bear $49 million hit.
No.
And you want to know something? You should have had everything in place. Hey, bottom line is, we're out of here. Ruth Ann, you've got the word of the day. Let's hear it. Girl, man, we were on the air for quite a while here. You talk too much.
Oh, boy, you never shut up.
You never shut up. I was just heard that song today. You never shut up. You talk too much. Oh, you never shut up. I said you talk too much. Remember that? Who sang that? Was it LL?
I have no idea.
Who was that?
I don't know.
You talk too much.
I
You
don't
never
know.
shut up. I said you talk too much. That the people are going, that's right, Troy. Shut that mouth.
Yeah.
Shut your pie hole. Shut it up, boy. Who is it used to go, you need to be doing this. You do this, you need to do this. Zip it. What was that at SNL? Okay, let's hear the word of the day. I'm kind of nuts today.
Occlude.
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 Okay. What's occlude?
Occlude is to stop, close up, or obstruct an opening, orifice, or passage to shut something in, cover like an or to prevent its use. So, when you see someone use wine where they stop it with the cork or put wax over it, that's basically occluding.
Okay. It's crazy, but I'll take it. We're done. We're out of here.
Peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord.